Hi, just a quick circuit design tip. Thank you very much to Cyber City Circuits for actually prompting this one. He started a discussion on Twitter. I'll link it in down below, but that's what prompted this. So as you probably know, any active chip needs some sort of oscillator to actually run it, and you get that from a crystal like this, either just an individual crystal or from an external crystal oscillator. But it's very common for, of course, microcontrollers or any sort of chip. In this particular case, I've got DTMF tone generator, but it doesn't matter. It's just an example. They've got two crystal pins, X1 and X2 here, where you connect your 2-pin crystal. It can be in a HC49 package like this, either SMD or through hole. It can be the larger size HC as well. And you've also no doubt know that you usually have to add two load capacitors on here, one onto the X2, one onto the X1 pin, and that can actually be quite annoying because technically you can't just whack a value in there. It might work, but technically you should actually calculate those values based on the particular crystal that you're using and the load resistor value, because sometimes, like old school circuits, they didn't have a load resistor built in. We'll see that in a minute. This particular one does, but old school circuits might actually have typically a 10 meg resistor across there. So this is actually quite a high impedance circuit, and like parasitic capacitance around the circuit can be a problem as well. If you get leakage on the board, contamination, grime, dirt and dust, all sorts of things. And if you don't calculate these capacitor values properly, you might find that it works in your prototype circuit, but when you get into production with temperature and other, lots of other variations, especially if you're changing like the source of your crystal, for example, you purchase an apartment, oh yeah, I'll get this 4 megahertz crystal, no worries, I'll just get it from the cheapest source possible. It might have different characteristics which throw out your load capacitor values and might find that your circuit doesn't oscillate as well as you intend it. Here's an experiment you can do at home. Use your oscilloscope with a switchable ×1 probe, put it on your ×1 probe and try and probe your X1 pin here. See how you go. So adding an oscillator like this to your doodad is common as mud. Now, of course, this can have some issues. You've got 3 components, right? These components take up board space. These aren't small. For example, the capacitors, you can make them really small, but usually you're using bigger parts, and they all take up room. And as I said, because it's a high impedance circuit, you've got to have some clearance around there. You can't just run high frequency signals willy-nilly, near your X1 line here, for example. You might come a gutser. And that's why sometimes you might actually even see a guard trace circuit going from ground around these pins so that it stops leakage into this high impedance, relatively unstable, I'm here all week, circuit. But what if I told you that practically any chip that has these 2 crystal pins on it, you don't have to use just an external crystal with the load capacitors. You can actually replace this circuit with an external dedicated crystal oscillator. Or if you happen to have the frequency available from some other part of your circuit, you can use that too. Bonus, you're now down to 1 bill of materials item. Usually more expensive, granted, but hey, it might save you some PCB footprint space. It might save you some design headaches because you're buying an already dedicated and characterized and working crystal oscillator. And of course, they come in all flavors of varieties, but you can get them really small. Look at this, 2 millimeters by 1.6 millimeters. Oh, crikey, right? Absolutely tiny stuff. Yeah, they might be more expensive, but they're pretty schmick. So how does this magic work, I hear you ask? Well, here's the particular chip in question, but it doesn't matter. All chips with the X1 and X2 crystal pins work basically the same way. This just happens to be a DTF tone generator chip, really old school stuff, and it's got the internal crystal resonator oscillator. It's actually got the oscillator circuit built in. And if we scroll down the data sheet, they actually show you the internal circuit for this. So here's how it works. As I said, almost every chip with X1 and X2 crystal pins is going to work the same way. They have an internal inverter like this connected between the X1 and the X2 pins. So what does that make X1? It makes it a digital input. Aha! You can just shove your crystal oscillator or any other signal you can get from anywhere else in your circuit that you can generate, you can just shove that straight into X1. No worries. And this X2 pin is usually just goes off internally inside your chip and powers whatever circuitry inside your chip, powers your microcontroller or whatever. So X2 is an actual digital output pin, and you can actually use that to drive other external circuitries. In fact, it's an inverted signal from your X1. So if you just happen to need an inverted clock for somewhere else in your circuit, you can actually pick that off X2. Just be careful of any load requirements on there, but usually it can drive something. Now, there are actually some chips that will actually have the load capacitors actually built in, and you don't actually need them externally. In this particular case, it shows that, they might be in there, but you don't get a free lunch. If you go down further in the data sheet, it shows that you actually need the external load capacitors. But there are some that won't need any external load capacitors. They're kind of handy. You might find that in, say, a low power real-time clock, for example, with a 32.768 kilohertz watch crystal. And you'll notice that this one actually has the 10 meg load resistor here, actually internal, with an internal switch, which is actually connected to the enable pin. So when you disable the chip, it opens up this circuit, so there's no feedback resistor here, and it disables the oscillator. But trap for young players, for this particular chip, doesn't mean it happens on other chips, but this particular chip, it actually, the enable pin also will turn on this MOSFET, which will short out your X1 pin to ground. You don't really want to do that with an external crystal oscillator. Just be aware of that. So there you have it. Hope you found that interesting. You do not need to use an external crystal and the load capacitors. You can replace it on practically any chip with an external crystal or some other external clock that you've got from some other micro. And as I said, you could use that for maybe for even synchronization purposes or stuff like that. And it's almost always on the X1 pin, but just double check that. Anyway, in the particular case of CyberCity's circuits here, wanted to know why 3.579545 megahertz, still remember that from a kid, it's the color burst frequency crystal. In this particular case, also used for DTMF decoding as well. Why are they so big? So he's using this chip and he wanted to actually replace it with a smaller oscillator. And sure enough, like, you can go over here and you can get a tiny little 3.579545 megahertz crystal oscillator like this, 2.5 millimeters by 3 millimeters. No worries. Yeah, you're gonna, 43 cents. Looks like they're under 30 cents in volume. That's not too shabby. So of course, external crystal oscillators like this have advantages. You might be able to get a different package. You might be using it in some other product, so you can reuse it or whatever. And when you're forced to, like, your chip has just the X1 and X2 pins on it for a regular crystal, you can just override that and feed it into X1. No worries usually. So there could be lots of reasons why you might want to use this particular circuit trick here. And hope you found it interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. As always, discuss down below. And let me know if you like short little circuit tips like this. Catch you next time.